right. So I am going to start. I'm going to do this poem. And this is the very, very, very first time that I've done this poem. So bear with me. And as we say in the Baptist church, take all mistakes for love, right? So the name of this poem is called Only. And it is not directed at anyone in particular. So just gonna put that out there.
Okay.
Just gonna put that out there. Okay. Only. I was only with you because I hated myself. You brought out of me the nothingness I already felt. I thought there could be no worse fate than losing you, and wonder why my half plus your whole never equal two. I only stayed with you because you accepted me broken and allowed me to live out a lie that otherwise went unspoken. I could pretend that tears really meant joy and pain really meant love, and ignore all the signals you sent that said I would never be enough. I only craved you because I wanted the hurt to stop, since the few minutes you were with me made up for all the days you were not. You and I both know you used to make me feel so good, until I realized you only controlled my body because my mind said you could. I only got over you when nagging thoughts entered my head that told me I was too vibrant to live amongst the walking dead. So I introduced myself to Happy and decided that's where I'm meant to be. And that's the only reason why the same you could never get next to the new me. And that's the point. Only. All right. How is that? Listen, I told you I got the air on because, you know, I'm over 40 and sometimes I get hot. But my fingers are frozen, so I can't snap. But I really, listen, that poem took me a place. And it's Thursday here, it's Wednesday there. So it's like a throwback Thursday and way back Wednesday, just to get back into that mind frame of how you just put yourself in that situation where there's only certain reasons why you're allowing yourself to be someplace that you know you don't need to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm just gonna let that sit right there for a minute. But this episode is about 3 quick tips to rebuild confidence. And I said quick, I didn't say easy. But before we get into those tips, I want to talk about why is confidence so important? Like, why do we need it? And I'll start and I'll tell you. I think confidence to me equals a standard, right? So when you have confidence, you're not going to let anybody do or not do anything to you, right? You're not going to let them say or not say things to you. If it's important to you, you're going to hold that standard because of that confidence. And also when I think about confidence, I think of being able to step outside of your comfort zone, right? If you don't have that confidence, you're going to stay exactly where you know it's safe, right? Because you don't trust the outcome. You don't trust yourself to rise to that occasion. So that's what I think of and why I think confidence is so important. What do you think?
So I think confidence, I think it goes hand in hand too with faith. Having a positive mindset and knowing that, like for me, that God is in control and that, you know, his hands are all over me and I'm walking in faith. Therefore, I should walk in confidence that I'm not going to go anywhere that God doesn't already see me going. He already knows the journey that his daughter is about to walk, you know? So it also helps with positive mindset. Like having confidence allows you to have that positive mindset to know and to take chances and know that if something doesn't work out, it's okay. It's a lesson learned and you move forward, you keep going.
Right. And I'm so glad you brought that up, right? And because it's a certain amount of confidence and safety that you feel in knowing I'm not doing anything new, right? This has already been determined. I'm just doing what God, what our particular faith has said, this is what you are meant to do all along, right?
Yeah.
So what are those situations that make us lose that confidence? If we know, we just doing what we supposed to do anyway, why do we lose that confidence?
Because sometimes we are steered by the heart. Sometimes our hearts can deceive us. We can be in situations or relationships that, doesn't always serve us. And
Yeah.
because we are not walking in our power and our confidence, it somehow it can reduce our confidence.
Yeah.
Like because we're not because of a situation or a relationship, yeah, it can blind us.
Yeah. So I want you, I'm glad you said that, because when I did out the title of this, I kind of did it kind of slick light, right? Because it was like 3 quick tips to rebuild your confidence. But I put the R and the E kind of in parentheses, right? Because you're either rebuilding it because you had it and you lost it, or you just building it from scratch. And I think anytime we go through those transitions, like you were just talking about, like it just causes us to have to go back to the beginning and rebuild that confidence all over again. Whether it's a change in relationship, change in jobs, change in positions, you just got to rebuild that confidence.
Right.
And I'll tell you, you and I have something in common that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know of anything that probably requires more confidence than this. And that is competitions, right? So, anytime you decide you want to do something like that, you got to have a whole lot of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be ready to step outside of your comfort zone and just be you and literally own the stage, right? And for me, I did my competition coming out of like the whole divorce, the breast cancer. And it was the perfect thing I needed to be like, girl, you still got it, right? And maybe you don't have it to the extent that other people have it, but you still got it, right? So what is one of the things that you do to kind of like show that you still got it, even though you went through that, whatever that transition may have been?
So sometimes confidence is also proving to yourself that you can do something. Maybe it's not about proving to anyone else. Sometimes we kind of get in our heads and I'm not the type of person that really cares about what other people think of me.
Yeah.
It's what I think of myself. And
Right.
so if I've told myself, if I've seen these competitors, these fitness, I remember looking at magazines or, pictures of these fitness models thinking, like just automatically assuming or saying to myself, I could never be like that.
Right.
I'm not an athlete. And then I had to reaffirm myself that no, I work out every day. I am an athlete. I can do this. And I remember going to the gym every day and listening to my praise and worship, just telling myself I can do this. And I had to prove to myself that I could do it. So sometimes it's not about proving to anyone else that you have this confidence or that you can do something. A lot of the times it's just proving to yourself that you can do it.
A whole word. I don't know if you meant to send that word, but I received that word and I thank you. So, you kind of spilled the tea on 3 tips, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and lay them out there. So the very first tip to rebuilding or building your confidence is to forgive yourself, right? And to start with a clean slate. I think the reason why we have trouble with confidence is because we're remembering all the things that we did or did not do that kind of set us back. And because those issues are there, we don't give ourselves permission to move past it. So the very first thing you got to do is to, it happened. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't change it. It happened. I forgive myself, right?
Right.
And that once you've done that slate is clean. So now you're starting fresh. And the next thing you got to do is to compliment yourself, to say, you know what? Yes, I did that, but girl, listen, I can do so much more, and I'm doing so much more than that. And then that third step is to give yourself words of affirmation beyond just that compliment.
Yes.
It's to say, I love you, girl. You got this. Right?
I am worthy. I am deserving. I am beautiful. I am smart. I am all of those things.
Yes.
And more.
And guess what?
I am chosen.
All day. And if you don't, who will, right? I just think it's crazy how we expect so much from people that we don't do for ourselves, right? And I think being intentional about that just makes it become second nature to have confidence. And it's not something that you got to constantly start over with and rebuild. So I got a little tea I want to spill, right?
Spill it, girl.
Because like I said, it's Thursday, it's a throwback kind of day, and it's Wednesday there. So I was sitting here and I was thinking, who was the very, very first person I ever had a crush on? Like in life. And I'm not going to say a name, but I will say initials, right? And girl, we going back to, I want to say, 93, 94. We're going back. Okay. And those initials.
We got to play some Erica Bundy.
All of that. Those initials are JF. And if anybody knows what those initials stand for, do not put that man's name.
I'm about to look on your Facebook friends and look for JF.
Listen, he's still cool, but no, absolutely not. JF. So what are the initials of the very first person that you crushed on? Like hard crush?
Crushed or loved?
Love, either one.
P.S.
B.S.?
P.S.
Okay, got you. And again, if anybody knows those people, do not put names. This is a non-attributional moment.
Oh, man. Hey, it just got hot over here. I'm not even staying over here.
Listen, I'm not even going to talk about that situation at all.
They're going to be all up in my Facebook friends.
I know. Listen, but we went ancient because I wanted to talk about why is it that when we talk about the initials of the person that we first crushed on and we first loved, it's not our own initials, right? Imagine if I'm thinking of the very first person I crushed on, the very first person I truly loved, and I'm thinking OS or OG because depending on what time of my life, Octavia Gatson or Octavia Scott or whatever. But what if those were the initials, right? What if the initials were HR or your
HT.
What if HD?
HT.
Right. What if? Because I'm just going to keep it all the way real. I think JF is awesome. I think he's very, very awesome. But I set no standard for that person. I let that person do whatever, and I don't want to say get away with, but there were no expectations, right? So there was no standard. And I think if I had set Octavia as my first love, my first crush, then that standard is there of how to treat me and how not to treat me, how to talk to me, how not to talk to me. And the same thing, we let somebody else create our standards. So what are the ways what are some of the things we can do to make sure the standard starts with us and we don't learn how to be treated by somebody else?
Creating boundaries.
Yes.
Creating boundaries. And you can, because there can be people in your life that are toxic that somehow cause you to lower your standards.
Yeah.
Except for what you deserve so much more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's so true. And I think when we don't do that and we let somebody else define what's okay, it's a certain danger in being comfortable, right? And getting used to somebody. And so when we get into that comfort zone and it is toxic and it is somewhere that we don't need to be, it becomes that much harder to pull ourselves out.
Right.
And it requires that much more confidence to say, I'm bigger than the 10, 15, 20 years I gave to this situation or this person. And I got to start over. Like, nobody wants to do that. But at some point, you say, enough, right?
Yeah.
At some point, you say, you're not changing, or this situation isn't changing. But guess what? I am. And these two things don't mix anymore.
Yeah.
And whether it is, you know, a job or a relationship or
all of it, yeah.
Our
When
way
you move across the country. No. I'm sorry, I got jokes.
I know. But listen, when I think about why you just let it go. You just let that situation run rampant. And you know good and well it ain't serving you no good. You're not your best self, but you just stay there. And you just and I'm thinking about something, and it's kind of what led me to that particular poem that I started off with, because we allow ourselves to be tricked into thinking this is a standard, right? We allow ourselves to think that it's perfectly okay for someone to not talk to me or not spend time with me or to not cater to me because that's what we become used to. But when you do decide, right, that this is not happening and I gotta move on, it just takes so much energy, and you start feeling drained. And so one of the things that, again, you and I both have in common is the fact that we work out, right? And the fact that we do, the competition. So I would tell you, leaving that situation was the same time I started spending more time working out. So what are some of the things that drives you to the gym?
Shoot, I honestly, my anxiety.
Yeah.
So it is truly a form of self-care for me. I've been able to avoid any type of medications or anything like that, which is totally fine if you do take medicine. But for me, the way that I keep it calm or at bay, or the way that I feel good and better about myself, is by working out.
Right.
And getting those feel good endorphins, and I just feel better. And as you're working out and you're lifting weights, it helps with your posture too, and it helps with your core. It's amazing what happens when you're able to stand up straight with your shoulders back and your core is tight. Like you stand up a little bit straighter, you have a little bit more confidence. It's the little things.
I will tell you, when I'm sitting in a meeting and I'm watching people and certain people are slumped over, I immediately think that person has no confidence. Because when you have confidence, your back is pressed to that chair, right? You're making sure you are presenting yourself in a way that you will not ignore me. I'm very much here, and I need to be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's nothing like going through that posing situation when you get ready to get on stage, right? Mm-hmm. And making sure, as you said, your posture is all the way up.
I'm so sorry. I wanted to share something. So I had to, we had to do like posing classes and everything like that. That made such a huge difference in my confidence, being able to stand up straight and hold a certain angle. And because one of the things is that at my competition, I didn't have the best body. I was still a little thick. I was curvy, but let me tell you, baby, when I tell you I owned that stage, I did. And I had like the first place, the girl who won first place, she came up to me afterwards, and she commended me, or gave me a compliment in regards to the way that I just went out there and I just owned it. And I did. And I didn't even feel like I had confidence, but I surely did
Yeah.
pretend like I did. No.
Listen, and that right there is the key, because nobody else needs to know that we having a moment where we might not be our most confident self,
Yep.
right? Nobody
Yes.
else needs to know that.
Right.
And quite frankly, I had those experiences too, where people will come up to me after the show and they were like, listen, that might not be their standard, but
Right.
listen, hey, you giving me all kinds of daggone encouragement just
Yes.
for having the courage to get up there. And
Yes.
you don't even know who's watching and who's being encouraged, because you are projecting that confidence. And I think that gives you so much power and so much motivation to just keep doing it, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
But let's be real. Sometimes you will have moments where it might not be our most confident self. Like we have moments. And so I think it's good, it's important to have people to serve as like your gap fillers, right? Those people who will not absolutely let you be less than who you are meant to be. And I'll give you a story real fast. Did this whole article situation, and one of my friends from college, she slid in my DMs, right? And she was like, "Girl, you need to put this out here in like this particular group." Shout out to Samantha. And I was like, "No, I don't really want to." She's like, "No, you need to do it." And so I did. And let me tell you, it was, and this is a group of all women college alumni. And so the threshold is already up here for the caliber of women that are there. They responded so positively to that. And you're like, oh my God, never would have did that had my gap filler not stepped in and said, go do what you're supposed to do. So tell me a story or a moment when you had somebody filling your gap to make sure, you actually lived up to your potential.
Well, I have been very blessed for the girlfriends that I have around me. I don't think that I don't know that there's a specific situation or not specific situation, but I know that they hold me accountable. So,
Yes.
In this season of my life, for example, I've had spiritual mentorship from one of my close friends, Alexis, who just reminds me that, not to count myself out. My desire is to be a public speaker and to share my story and to put myself out there. And one of the things that she did was encourage me to let me know that, you know what, maybe in this season, you don't need to go looking for opportunities, but yet opportunities will present themselves. And then you show up in my DM and talking about, hey, sis, how about this? So you have given me opportunities to, practice doing some of the things or the goals that I have for my future. So I appreciate that. I have another girlfriend, one of my best friends, Erica, Erica, in certain situations, she reminds me, Halana, you deserve more than this, girl. What are you doing? What's going on? Just that check, that reality check of they're not going to let you fail. They see more potential in you. They're going to make sure that you're the person that you're destined to be. At least help hold you accountable for that.
And you know what though? And the reason why it's okay to introduce an accountability partner and not lessen your own responsibility is because somebody can encourage you all day, every day. But if you're not willing to do it yourself, those words are just falling, on deaf ears. And eventually, they may or may not stop. But it just says something that even if you have not done the work for yourself, there's no amount of encouragement that's going to make you go do what you're supposed to do. Right. So you only acted on those things from that encouragement because you had the confidence to do it. Right. And in the absence of that, they're just talking. And wondering why is this person still doing this crazy thing they ain't got no business doing. Been there, done that, wrote a book about it, but that's neither here nor there. But I just think it's so important rather, to talk so kind, to be kind to yourself, right? And I started a new job and it's been great. Love it. And I find myself being more intentional about the things I say to myself because my mindset automatically influences 200 other people just by how I show up to work.
Right. That's right.
And imagine if you're showing up and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. Somebody made a mistake. I'm not supposed to be here. Or the way I show up is all this is meant to be, right?
Yes.
I am a
Absolutely.
blessing to you and you are a blessing to me. And those blessings together are going to make this organization better than anybody ever thought it could be, right?
Yeah.
So the way you are showing up here is on automatically determine how you show up in your physical being.
Yeah.
You agree or not? You agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. And especially like if you got all these people underneath you and you showing up for work like I don't know what I'm doing or I don't believe in myself or whatever, then they're not going to believe in themselves either.
Right.
They're looking for you. They're looking to you.
Yeah. So there's a responsibility in confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a responsibility to yourself and a responsibility to others to constantly work on that confidence. Mm-hmm. And to not let it, because again, things happen, moments happen. Do not let that moment, that mistake, that whatever, literally grow root and just like start taking over all of your hard work. Because I think that's what sometimes we do. We can be in our most confident state, but the moment we mess up, right? The moment it doesn't go quite the way it's supposed to go, all that hard work is done. And now we're back to, oh my God, why are you here? Why do they, we got to give ourselves permission to be human and give ourselves permission to recover.
Yeah.
And I can't think of better way to recover than to go on a long run, girl. It's something about going on a long run that just lets me wash it all out. And I literally feel so much better. So
I wish I was like that. I'm not a runner. But I love getting on the stairs. So the way you like to run, that's how I like to get on the stairs.
And between me and you, don't nothing build a good booty like those stairs. But right. I know. That's why when I was doing my programs, listen, it was 30 minutes on the daggone stair climber. I was like, God, I hate this thing. I'd rather just go run, but nothing builds the glutes like the daggone. Okay, that's neither here nor there. So, but listen, honey, I just want to recap the 3 tips. And they were, first and foremost, forgive yourself. Start off with that clean slate. Second, give yourself a compliment. Say something positive about things that you do well, as opposed to the things that you didn't. And then literally be very intentional about your words of affirmation in terms of love. I think there is something about hearing the words, I love you, that just makes us feel, I don't know, like worthy or makes us feel cherished. And it's just something about those words. But I would argue that it's something about when you say the words to you, right? There is nothing better than for Octavia to look in the mirror and say to Octavia, I love you, right? And that feeling is not a feeling that anybody else can give me. Yeah. So I don't know the last time you looked in the mirror and said, Halana, I love you. But boo thing, I need us to do that. I need us to be very deliberate about saying, not thinking, saying those words to ourselves, and to see if that doesn't give us an immediate boost in confidence. Yeah. So what do you think?
I'm right there with you. I love you. I love you too.
All right, practice. You know how we like our mirrors, right? We
yes.
love our mirrors. So here we go. Just quickly. I love you.
I love you.
Ah, look at that. And on that note, thank you so much for joining me. Do you have anything you want to say that we didn't talk about, or that you think is, worth sharing to us or to anybody else?
No, I mean, I think that the confidence, I think that this was great. I think that I want to touch up on, just giving yourself grace in whatever season that you're in. Maybe you don't show up fully confident, but
Yeah.
telling yourself and giving yourself those words of affirmation to remind yourself, because just like you said, everyone can tell you or uplift you or however, but if you don't believe it, if you don't hear it from yourself, then it's most impactful for you to tell yourself that, for you to tell yourself those words of affirmation. So going back to give yourself some grace.
Yes.
In the seasons of uncertainty, in the seasons where you lack as much confidence, in the seasons where you're growing, and just show up and fake it till you make it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, truly, like, just have that faith that God is going to deliver you from whatever it is that you're going through, and that He's going to bring you out of it stronger and better than before.
Without a doubt. That's not even in question. That is exactly how it's going to end up.
Absolutely.
And that in and of itself should give you the confidence to work through that moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you introduced that faith element of it very, very early, because those of us that believe, we know.
Yeah, absolutely. Know. I am confident in that, no matter what.
Yes. See, now you can start a whole nother topic, because I can tell you about the conversation I just had. But listen, I got to put this cape back on, because, girl, you know how we do. You just got off work, but I got to head in. And but this has been awesome. You always brighten my spirit, and it's always just so beautiful to share your space. So thank you for sharing yourself with me.
I feel the exact same way. We need to caption this, like Ebony and Ivory, or something. Like
all of that.
We got to come up with something.
Listen, I'm gonna leave that to you. That's your task for the day, to give us our thing. And listen, we all coordinated and everything. Not even on purpose. Not even on purpose. Where your pearls, boo? I'm gonna give you a pass.
Look,
I knew it.
But I do have my cross on somewhere over here.
Okay, all right.
I get my pearls.
I never doubted you. Never doubted you. Love you, do thing.
All right, love you
baby.
too. Bye.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.